Today's guest is the CEO of Doodle, and he joins us
from Switzerland.
And if you are a leader finding yourself in need of
soothing relief,
you're going to love this interview with Gabriele Ottino.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, you are going to absolutely love our guest. Gabriele, welcome onto the Thrive Time Show. How are you?
Good.
So you come across as a very intentional guy. What do you see as the future of Doodle as the CEO of the company?
Now, the vision that I have and we have as a team about Doodle is really to be solving all of your scheduling needs wherever they arise, and also to be able to, start scheduling with Doodle in any of your communication channels where you're actually working. So what we really want is to take away the pain of scheduling for everybody in their work environment. And so that means it's a huge market, right? There is millions of people that need our service. And so I'm convinced that this can be a really big business with, for us, size of a company, several hundred people down the line in the future, and definitely $1 billion business potentially. So that's where I see Doodle going.
So Gabriele, where are you guys actually based?
Now we're about 60 employees. We're based in Switzerland. That's where our headquarters is, in Zurich, and we have some more offices. We have an office in Berlin, an office in Belgrade, and we're just tipping our foot into the US with the first people in sales and marketing going into the US.
How did Doodle go about getting its first 10 customers?
That's a good question. So I mean, where it all started out really was 2 PhD students at the local technical university at ETH Zurich that really wanted to meet their friends for dinner. And it was almost impossible to coordinate all of the agendas to find that. And so that's where it all started, really, in the university. And it started spreading virally. So that's the regular users that then spread by virally inviting others. Since the beginning, actually, the business model of Doodle has been very heavily advertising focused. So it was really about building out the user community and then taking revenue out via advertising. And that's actually the big transition we're in right now. We're really focusing now on turning Doodle into a subscription business first. So apart from the free product that is still advertising monetized, we are now really focusing heavily on selling subscriptions to individuals and small teams, but also larger enterprises. So we are really hitting heavily into the enterprise market, where we already see some first results.
So do you, as a CEO, I mean, you have a lot on your plate. What do you enjoy the most about your job?
Yeah, what I enjoyed the most is really that we can move really fast. We're still a relatively small team, and when we decide as a management team, or I decide as a CEO, where we want to go, or what changes that are down there that we should implement immediately, we can do so really quickly. And it's really great to see impact of your decisions, really thinking about, what should the future of scheduling, the future of work really look like, and how can we shape that future as Doodle, and how do we have to align our troops and our teams to actually get there. So So that's the parts I really enjoy the most.
Dr. Breck, I'm not sure if you consider yourself to be the CEO or just the head honcho or the head of drbreck.com, your chiropractic facility.
Right.
But roughly how many people are on your team at this point?
We're at about 10.
And with a team of 10, what do you like most about being the boss? And what is the most challenging aspect of being the boss?
Well, of course, the buck stops with you when you're the boss. But which can be a challenge at times, but it's also, with any great opportunity comes responsibility. And so, I get to make the decisions that I feel are best for our group.
I find that being the boss, one of the things, and Z and I talk about it a lot as well, but being the boss, you have to make big obstacles seem small. I feel like it's like most people, if you're the boss, employees will call you and say, boss, my car doesn't work. Could you help me get to work?
Right.
Boss, I'm going through a divorce. What tips do you have? Boss, I'm having an issue with... Jason, you've managed a lot of people over at the Elephant in the Room, and we have a lot of great people. What was the most rewarding part of being the super manager and managing a staff of dozens and dozens of people? Or what was the biggest, I guess what was the most positive and rewarding aspect of being the boss? And what was the most challenging aspect for you managing 3 stores and many, over 4,000 customers, over $3 million of revenue, multiple employees? What was the biggest challenge and what was the best part of managing that many people?
I would say one of the best parts about managing like all 3 sites and the hardest part are exactly the same thing. So I got a lot of like personal value out of solving people's problems. I just like to do that.
Yeah.
And so you said something super important. Being the boss means making something that seems like large and astronomical seem very small and simple. And when you're able to do that for somebody, the look on their face and the appreciation that they give you from that is massive.
So you like solving the problems, but you're also saying it is the most challenging part of being the boss?
Yeah, because when you think about it, like even with a team of whether it be 5 to 10 to 40, you have everybody and their issues more than you. And let's be honest, dealing with our own stuff every day is our its own challenge. We have to have our own to-do lists and calendars to keep ourselves accountable, but then you tack on everybody else's responsibilities, if they can get to work, what personal struggles they have going on. It's a mixed bag of just crazy.
Now, Gabriele is talking about corporate America, international companies that a lot of times have an issue of collaborating on their schedule. Let's say that I live in Australia, you live in Canada, he lives in California. How are all 3 of us going to get on the call at the same time?
Right.
That's a challenge he's dealing with international business. And I want to go back to small business for a second. And I just want to ask you on a daily basis, Jason, if you can picture it in your mind, I'm sure you've blocked it out for psychological health reasons, but if you could picture it in your mind, what were the biggest challenges that you dealt with on a daily basis? Let's go back to like 5 a.m. You're managing all 3 shops. You turn on your phone for the first time each day. What were the biggest burning fires that you had almost every day? You could set a watch by it. You could plan on it. You knew it was going to be a problem.
So come Friday, it was I have to get my kiddo to school, so I can't make our mandatory meeting.
Okay, they can't make the meeting. Okay. And by the way, if we asked our team, each member of our team, what time do you think would be best for you? What time would that be?
It would be so just scattered, but I would say probably sometime in the afternoon.
Right, during peak hours when we see customers. What time do we do? What time do we meet with our all staff meeting on Fridays?
Friday at the not so early time of 8 a.m.
Fridays at 8 a.m. And have people on the team suggested an afternoon time?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, they have.
Like, well, maybe we should do this over lunch, or maybe we should do this for like maybe only 15 minutes.
Have members of the team suggested that we don't need a meeting at all because we go over the same thing every week?
Yes.
Turns out that great people bore down. Great people, the greats on our team, they want to have that weekly meeting. They want to bore down.
Right.
Where the not-so-greats struggle with and focus on boredom. The greats bore down. And the not-so-greats focus on boredom. Now, that is a very powerful idea. When you realize as a leader, every week your team is going to push back about having these weekly mandatory meetings. But if you want to be exceptional...
So Jesus, who is exceptional, is having a conversation with ordinary. And exceptional and ordinary always have a conflict.
Oh.
Anytime exceptional people dwell in the midst of ordinary thinking people, there's always going to be conflict.
Now, I'm not saying you're perfect, but the reason why you got promoted to be the manager of all 3 stores is because you were showing exceptional work ethic, meaning it was the exception. You were not working at the same standard as most people. So let's get back into that again. And what were the biggest problems on a daily basis? So you said, 1, people can't get to the Friday meeting. What else?
Showing up to work late or just on time.
So you're saying that getting people to show, even if we agreed on the time they were supposed to be there,
right.
Even if we said specifically, this is what time you're going to be there, we've agreed on this time.
Yep.
How often per week with a team of, let's say 50 people, how many times per week would they call in sick, call in late, or not show up at all?
At the very least once a day, which is tough when you only have if it's a weird day and you have 4 people on and then you're down to 3 and we're still trying to fit 4,000 people in, it gets a little crazy.
So you're saying that with a team of, let's say again, about 50 people, you're saying that once per day per store, or of the 50 people total, how many people per day are calling in sick, are not showing up, are running late? I just want to know, because I want the listeners out there to know that we do not operate in a unicorn universe here
Right.
of perfection where we don't have life issues. Talk to me about this. What percentage, Jason, or what number out of the 50 people don't show up or call in sick or can't be there or have some sort of life issue?
So as far as tardiness goes, just showing up late, whether it be a minute or whatever, that is, I would say, 100% once a day per shop.
Okay, so at least 3 out of 50 per day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now talk to me about the exceptional people. Picture in your mind people that are really never late.
Yeah.
How often? I mean, there are other people on the team who are never late.
Yeah. One in particular, I don't know if I can mention names.
You can mention all the positive names. The negative names, we have to just go vagary. Yeah.
So Mark is the man. So back when I was working at the Broken Arrow location, every Thursday we'd have a lead meeting, which meant the lead had to get there at 9 so we could go over an hour of just things to focus on in the shop, and then the team would get there at 10. Well, Mark would always be there before the lead, and I'm like, Mark, you don't have to be here for the meeting. He's like, yeah, I'm just showing up to work. That's what I do. But it was every day after that, too. Whatever day he was scheduled, he would beat the team and the lead. One time, he almost beat me because I got stuck in traffic, but I still beat him.
Big shout out to Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch right there. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Oh, yeah. Now, again, so Marky Mark, he's there all the time on time.
Yeah.
Now, don't mention their names. But are there certain people that can never be there on time more than 1 day in a row, maybe 2 days in a row?
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
Which is why we're always hiring people. What are other problems you dealt with on a daily basis? Because, again, our guest today, Gabriele Ottino, is talking about the scheduling problem. International companies have a hard time getting people to agree on a time, and it's hard to coordinate their calendars. What other problems do you deal with on a daily basis? Come on. On a daily basis, as a manager of 3 stores, 4,000 customers, come on.
So you have, are we just talking employees?
I'm talking about problems that you have on a daily basis as a manager of 4,000 customers, 3 stores. What other problems do you have?
Okay, so flip it over to the customer side. Guys who show up 15 to 30 minutes late. Mind you, appointments are only 30 minutes long. And we already have 90 to 100 other people booked back to back, and there's no wiggle room dealing with trying to put together a grown man's schedule and teach him the, importance of being punctual.
Now, why am I harping on this? I'm harping on this because promotion equals problems.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you get promoted, Dr. Breck, as you've grown your practice, let's say you have 1%. Let's say out of all your great customers, 1% of them have problems.
Sure.
At least. Many great customers. Let's just say only 1% of your customers, can't figure out how to show up on time, can't figure out how to pay on time. There's that 1%.
Right.
If you double now from 100 customers to 200, now you have 2 upset customers a month. And if you triple, now you got 3 upset customers. Have you noticed that as you've grown drbreck.com, that the percentage of problems probably hasn't increased, but the number of problems has?
The number has definitely increased. I would say the percentage may have increased as well.
Really? Really?
Yeah, just because you're moving faster, you're doing more, and so there are some different problems that arise because of that. So I liken them to growing pains.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Jason was saying, when you're scheduled back to back to back, as we are, because we do cluster book.
There we go.
We're very punctual on our side, and we really want to keep those appointments, close and be very efficient with your time, because we respect your time as a patient. But then oftentimes the patient will show up 15, 20 minutes late, and we'll work them into our system, in our flow of things, but it still can back us up if we have 5 people that show up all at the exact same time. It's just kind of this clog that happens within the flow, and we work through it. but it still is a regular, almost daily occurrence. And then, of course, we have the massage therapy, where we have similar types of issues, whether it be scheduling or the therapist showing up late or being sick or those types of things. So a lot of the similar problems that Jason was just talking about.
Now, my understanding is that drbreck.com, for the listeners out there who are not as familiar with you, you've been a chiropractor for how long now?
15 years. We're going on our 16th year.
Okay, and you started working with your coach, Tim, about how long ago was it?
Oh, goodness. It's been, I guess, about 2
years?
Yeah, 2 years.
So over the last 2 years, again, this is almost your 16th year.
Mm-hmm.
So up to your first 13 years, would you describe it as a smooth ride, as a bumpy ride? Describe those first 13 years.
It was a slow ride.
The PC, the pre-coaching years.
Pre-coaching, it was
kind
slow.
of a slower.
It was slow and bumpy.
Now talk to me about the growth you've had over the past 2 years, just to encourage somebody out there who may find themselves having all these problems, but doesn't see the end, the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, we've grown substantially. We've doubled. So there's been a couple of steps in the progress of my practice.
Yeah.
One, when I did an acquisition of partners, and I bought a partner out, and so we grew through that process. But then when we got Tim as a coach, with Redmond Growth and Thrive, we now have a web presence where we had 0, so we're the highest rated and most rated chiropractor in our area.
Yeah.
And
you, by the way, have
and we've grown because of that.
You have a great no-brainer too. For all listeners out there, you've got it's for your first exam, for first-time patients.
Mm-hmm.
It's a free exam.
Yes, sir.
Free X-ray.
Yes.
Free adjustment.
Yes.
All for free.
All for free.
There's no sneakiness to it. It's free. No sneaky.
No sneaky.
All free.
All free.
And now you're growing. You're having that growth.
Mm-hmm.
What have been the biggest challenges as you've had that growth? Because for years, a lot of us pray for growth. We want growth. We think about growth. We obsess about growth. We visualize growth. And now that you have growth, what are some of the problems that you're running into? Because, again, promotion equals problems. People out there, we gotta understand you always have to fight. You're never going to be done fighting. If you have this desire to build a company and then to go, what I want to do is grow it really big and then not have to fight. Trust me, that's not going to happen. But you can get better new fights.
Yeah, there's just new problems. And so, used to it was problems of, can I pay this bill or that bill? Because we didn't have the funds. There just wasn't the income. But now that's not the problem. But it's, equipment breaks down quicker because it's being used more quickly. The wear and tear is greater with the greater number of patients that we see. We go through more product that on our side of things that we have to use more quickly, and so you have to make sure that you're keeping things in stock and on time. And so we had an order of materials that we needed, and they were back ordered like 3.5-4 weeks, and that was a different problem. Because, it's not like we need one person or two people that are going to need that. We've got, 200 people that now need that.
Well, if your business has grown to a certain point, if you're over 100 employees or 200 employees, scheduling your people may become a problem. That's why a lot of Fortune 500 companies, a lot of their employees are using Doodle. And so now, without any further ado, let's go back into our interview with the CEO of Doodle.com. What daily habits do you have that you feel like allow you to be successful as a CEO? I mean, very few people ever become a CEO of a company with more than 50 employees. I mean, what are some of the daily habits that you have in place that allow you to achieve success?
Yeah, so I think I'm convinced that one of the most important things really is to keep one's balance, to really stay healthy and motivated and energized, and for me that's a couple of things that I need to do to sort of balance the very intense workload and work time and pressure sometimes as well. And that's a couple of things, right? One of the things that really grounds me very much is my family. I try to be home every day at the same time for dinner, to be with my family, with my 2 daughters, my wife. Being there during that time, I think is really important. And the other thing is sports. Going 2 to 3 times a week on my mountain bike and really get energy out of the system, or energy back in from sports. So I think it's really this balancing thing. And the other on the productivity side is really about keeping an overview of your to-dos and ruthlessly prioritizing what is important right now and what do we need to do right now and what are the things that I need to prepare for strategically for the next weeks, months, or even years ahead.
Now, when I research guests and kind of vet you guys before having you on the show, I try to do as much research as I can. And one of the things I found was that your company, I believe, is helping 50% of the Fortune 500 companies to maximize their time and productivity. Is that correct, or am I misquoting that?
It's actually even more than that. So we know that almost 80% of the Fortune 500 companies have Doodle users. So that means people who have created a Doodle. So and that when we analyze some of the data of how people use it by analyzing titles and so on and so forth, it's very often really work related. So whatever it is, project kickoff, board meeting, these type of things. And so it's a very common thing in big companies all around the world, really.
What advice would you have for the listeners out there? I mean, if you could get a big old tweet sent out to everybody, you could send a tweet to everybody in the world, or you could do the proverbial billboard that says anything on it, or you could send everybody a mass mailer they would actually read, or you could hog everybody's telephone system, or take over their TV and put a message out there. What's the message that you would share with all of our listeners?
Yeah, I think the one thing that I really believe in and try to live by is that honestly, really the only thing that is constant is change. So every day, I get to work every day, every new day in this business. Things change. New data is available. New insights are there. Maybe some new competitors are there. New users, new customers that join our business, and so that changes the nature of our business. And the only thing there really we can do is on the one hand, adapt and be the best versions of ourselves and face that change and make it something positive. And at the same time, I believe as well that while you adapt to change and work in this very flexible environment, let go of things that are maybe in the meantime obsolete due to the change that is happening around you.
Now, you are based in Switzerland. What city are you guys in?
We're in Zurich.
So I want to ask you, and you can refute any of these things. They're just trying to, but the listeners out there who can't relate to officing in Switzerland, I just want to ask you, are you still decorating your office with the Swiss Army knife theme, and do you have your desks built out of Legos, and do you have famous the Lindt chocolate boxes everywhere, or is that just a fallacy and complete just prejudice that everybody from Switzerland has a Swiss Army knife on them at all times?
That's a very good one. So, I mean, the only Swiss Army knives we have in our offices are people, developers, product managers, and so on and so forth. I feel I'm surrounded by Swiss Army knives because of their talent, but not only in our Swiss office, also in our other offices.
Now, in terms of decor at your office, walk us inside your headquarters. What kind of decor do you have in your offices? Yeah,
the decor of our office is very much, regular office-like. We don't have any, cuckoo's clocks or things like that. Obviously, we like people who bring around chocolate, and Lindt is definitely still one of the favorite ones. But no.
How many Rolexes are you wearing right now?
Bling, bling. Every time I come around your city, bling, bling. Make it ring, word about bitty, bling, bling.
I'm more of an Omega guy. So I have my Omega. It's a Seamaster, and I'm looking to get a moon watch, hopefully at some point very soon. So that's where I'm headed.
Now, people in Switzerland are known as being, people that are peace-favoring people. Are you a secret warmonger over there at Doodle? I mean, are you trying to wage war on these other programs that compete with you, or are you? Tell me about your approach to marketing. Are you pretty aggressive, man? I mean, you go head to head, or you play fair? Do you play dirty? Do you trip the competitors at trade shows? Tell me your moves.
Right. So I'm more of the fair guy. I'm more of the strategizing guy. I'm more of the type of guy who really fights the competitors on data, on being better, on really getting the best product out there and marketing it the best way. So I'm not in that sense the warmonger, but that doesn't mean I'm easy to handle as a competitor. So I think we have a huge might with Doodle that is really the huge user community we have. We have accumulated over the last years. We have 30 million unique users in a month, and so that is already a huge usage that we can really leverage to make this an even greater business than it already is.
So tell me about a mentor in your career that has made a big impact up to this point. I mean, was there somebody that made the biggest impact on your life, or who's kind of helped you along the way? Because being the CEO is a big thing, a big title to have. Did somebody coach you along the way?
Yeah, so I think I've been thinking about this over the last couple of weeks as well, and it's I think one of the guys I really need to be thankful for is the guy who actually brought me into this job, right? So we're in the Tamedia digital management team, sort of discussing, hey, how do we tackle the next phase for Doodle and so on and so forth. And he really turned over to me and said, hey, Gabriele, this would be great for you. Why don't you take it on? And so that was the start. And at that time, he was also the chairman of the board of Doodle and helped me there to really get up to speed on what we need to do in the first time. And he's been really, really helpful all along the way in this journey. And so, getting into this great opportunity and making Doodle what it is and what it will be really, really started with that and with his help.
What's the most difficult part about being a CEO? Is it having to be the chief? Do you hate the title? Is it the pressure of is it managing people? Is it hiring? Is it firing? What's the toughest part about being a CEO?
Yeah, I think one of the toughest part about being the CEO is that, let's say as a person, I don't really feel all that different to anybody really in the team, right? We are hopefully all smart and good people and so on and so forth. And I don't feel like, I'm sort of above or that there is a whole lot of hierarchy. But when you're the CEO, you get to understand that in the end, you are the boss and people look up to you, or maybe they even fear you, or they don't maybe speak their mind all the time, or they choose their words. Difficult thing I have found is getting really direct, honest, and transparent feedback.
I don't expect you to be an expert of all things Switzerland, but I'm going to ask you anyway, because you probably are getting a great vision for the company by going up to the top of a mountain and skiing a lot. What percentage of your free time do you spend skiing? Is it 97% or 90%?
Yeah, I'm actually in winter. Yes, I do go skiing. We actually do a 1 week ski vacation, and so that's more or less the skiing I get. The rest of the time I really spend on my mountain bike. even in winter. So I'm more of the mountain biking guy, but that's very, very popular in Switzerland as well. Our racing athletes, for example, in mountain biking, are really crushing it right now.
Now, I've heard that the Swiss have invented fondue, which seems plausible, and Velcro. And is it true that you've invented Velcro? Did you guys invent Velcro? Is that a thing? 'Cause I think it's a big controversial. I want to clear that up here. You're right there in the thick of the action. Did you guys invent Velcro?
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now
And fondue and raclette and all these things. Yes.
What about aluminum
And
foil?
the watch and watchmaking almost entirely in general. So yeah.
Do you like bobsledding? Do you like to watch bobsledding?
Big start by these guys. Whoa, we have a lot of problems on the way in.
It's a lot of fun, yeah. I think it's fun, yeah.
Josh, Living Water Irrigation, a great show sponsor. What question do you have for the CEO from Switzerland, Mr. Gabriele?
Two-parter. First thing, when you got promoted to CEO, did you just run around the office and yell, "I'm the CEO"?
I'm the CEO!
No, that's not my style.
Are you thinking about doing that today?
It would be fun, actually.
In all seriousness.
Grab my gold chalice! The show goes on! Grab my gold chalice! Yes!
So you said one of your big goals is to try to do a better job of getting honest and transparent feedback from your team. So as an actionable step for a lot of our listeners out there, how are you going about getting that, and what have you seen that was successful in getting your people to communicate more freely and better with you so that you can build a better environment and grow from there, sir?
I work with the members of the management team, with some of the team leads more regularly, but a large portion of the people I don't work with on a daily basis. So I've introduced that, and I've made it very clear that the very purpose of that chat, of that conversation, is for them to give me feedback and for them to tell me, what we could be doing better. And I also explicitly tell, look, while I like also compliments, I'm much more interested in the things you think we should do better.
Gabriele, I appreciate you for taking time away from your core business there, Doodle, to join us and to share about being a CEO, growing the company, the vision for the organization, how you organize your day. Do you have any final word of encouragement or anything you'd like to share with the 500,000 plus faithful downloaders of the Thrive Time Show?
Make sure that every meeting you're in really counts and that you're meeting the right people at the right time, because that's really where a lot of the great ideas and productivity come from, is from meeting the right people. And that's what we are trying to help you, and hopefully we will do so in ever better ways.
Gabriele, thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you very much. It was a lot of fun being with you. Thanks.
Hey, take care. Dr. Breck, I want to get your take on this because in small business, big business, any kind of business, any type of organization, you can get pulled into meetings that don't matter.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about the kind of meetings that you have over at drbreck.com, over at your chiropractic practice that matter?
Yeah, we have meetings about our our productivity and how we're going about doing things, customer service, but we really try to stick with the things that really do matter on a day-to-day basis. But oftentimes those also become, the same types of conversations. We're trying to make new mistakes, new problems, fix things, not just continue to harp on the same things over and over. But, just like with any other business, we are having to correct, similar similar situations over and over.
You know, Jason, every week for Elephant in the Room, can you share with the listeners the 2 meetings that we have every day, and then also about the daily huddles that we have in the stores?
Yep. So each week we have 2 meetings, one on Monday, one on Friday. The one on Monday starts at 7 a.m.
What's that meeting?
That is it's 8 a.m. That is the Elephant in the Room managers meeting.
What's the purpose of that meeting?
That purpose is all strategy. We only have managers and you and John and Vanessa in the room, and we go over everything that's mission critical. What are our new policies? What are new procedures? What are we doing well?
And it's pretty much the same agenda every week.
It is the exact same.
Make sure that we're monitoring Google reviews. We start there. We go over the products we need to order, make sure we're not short on any products.
Yep.
We go over staffing issues. We go over new people that we're needing to hire and onboard. And then anybody who has any issues at all during the week, if they would like to have their voice heard, they are to put their questions and their ideas onto the Google Doc, onto the agenda. And therefore, we discuss all the problems at one time. And at that meeting, we identify the problems, we discuss the problems, and we solve the problems.
Right.
Then we leave the meeting with action items assigned to each person. And it says on there specifically the to-do date and the person who is to do the items. If you can picture it visually, it says your name, the due date, and what you're supposed to do. So we assign those items in the meeting. So again, in the meeting, we identify the problems, we discuss the problems, and then we solve the problems. But when we leave the meeting, everybody has the agenda. We're all shared on that Google Doc, and it has everybody's name, who's supposed to do the item. And Jason, why does it have to have a to-do date and the person's name and the action item? Why is that so important that it's on that agenda?
Well, it's important because what's on the agenda is done. What's scheduled gets done. So if you say, hey, Jason, I need you to have me shampoo by next Monday, I know that I have the next 7 days in order to have that done. How do I know that I'm doing it? Well, my name is attached to it. How do I know what I'm making? It's right there after my name.
And then on the agenda the next week, when we have the same meeting again, we follow up to make sure those items become to-done items.
Right.
And if 95% of those things are not getting done, we have some problems.
True.
And occasionally I lose my mind.
I've seen it.
I'm like, is it every week or is it every third week? How often do I lose my mind in that meeting where I get angry, where I get intense, where I do whatever needs to happen to get it done?
For those, it's maybe every third week.
Every third week. Well, I think things have improved. That is incredible. But I find a lot of owners, they don't ever get intense, and they let the herd mentality take over, and now we're just having a stupid meeting. It's a case of the Mondays. Nothing gets done. So we got to assign who's going to get the item done, what's going to get done, right? And all the details are who, what's going to get done, and when is it going to be done. Then, Jason, we have our Friday meeting.
Yep.
Talk to the listeners out there. What's the purpose of our all-staff meeting on Friday?
So for the all-staff meeting, everybody, including the managers, call center, stylists, assistant managers, if you work for Elephant in the Room, 8 a.m. on Friday, we meet at the Riverwalk office. We start with wins. We talk about new people. Here's some words from Spencer. And then we go into the numbers. So we see how we did on sales for the week as far as like how many haircuts we did, how many memberships we sold, how many products we sold, how many reviews we're getting across all 3 locations. That way, all the stylists or anybody else who works there who's not in that manager's meeting still sees the direction the company's going in.
And I will read off to listeners the agenda for that meeting.
Yeah.
Every Friday, we go over hot topics. Those would be like things that need to be discussed that are urgent.
Right.
The second thing is we go over cut times. I'm always harping on cut times. We have to get our customers in. All 4,000 members need to be seen. Therefore, we need to cut haircuts in 27 minutes. And they need to be good. All right. Then we go over the systems review. We talk about the circle of service, making sure everybody knows the systems, knows the services. Then we review the numbers every single week. Then we go over superstars of the week. Then we go over the biggest limiting factor. The biggest limiting factor. That would be we go over the speed training, the team training, the front desk, and the call center. Then we go over the front desk role-playing and paycheck issues every single Friday. And why do we go over that every Friday, Jason? What happens if we don't go over that on Friday? What happens to the team members who don't show up at the Friday meetings? What begins to happen?
They don't perform as well. They don't know that, one, they start to lose their sense of direction because they'll start to get, like you said, in that herd mentality where they feel like everything's the same, and they may not be like experiencing the same wins that we are. But at the same time, those trainings, as like meaningless as some people think they are, and the fact we do them repetitively, you start to lose out on your core skill if you're not doing the same thing over and over. Like practice makes perfect.
Now, Napoleon Hill talks about this in his book called Outwitting the Devil. It's called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. But he says, a drifter is one who permits himself to be influenced or controlled by the circumstances outside of his own mind. He would rather let me occupy his mind and do his thinking than to go through the trouble of thinking for himself. People begin to drift over time.
Oh, yeah.
People begin to drift. Things begin to not get done. Towels begin not to be cleaned. Maintenance begins to be deferred. Equipment begins to break down. People start to show up late. People start to dress less sharp, and sales go down if you're not careful. And every single week, I have to prune the tree and pull the weeds. Every week, Jason. Is it not every week?
It's every single week.
Every week?
Every week.
Oh, now if you're out there struggling to make the schedules of your international team work together, perhaps check out Doodle.com. Doodle.com if you have an international team and you're trying to get those schedules to work together. If you own a small business, this just in. Your whole team will never agree with you about when they should meet. Therefore, you as an owner, Dr. Breck, you have to set those times, do you not?
Right. Yeah.
And when you set those times, you have roughly 10 employees. Of the 10, maybe one or two don't want to have that meeting time?
Yeah.
But the other 8 are okay with it?
Typically, that's a pretty good ratio of who's going to actually want to meet at any given time that I just pick on my own
Will there be a
schedule.
time where everybody agrees, ever?
Not usually.
If you're
Very
out there
rarely.
seeking universal praise and committees and
I think consensus is great to shoot for, but it oftentimes is very difficult to get to, and I think you can lose a lot of productivity and time trying to get consensus when it's really not necessary to operate and move forward.
I would just say if you're an owner, this is what you want to do. All right? If you're an owner, you want to get your team on board to know the why and to know why they're supposed to do what they're supposed to do. And at the end of the day, though, you're going to have to make sure that you build a business that serves you. If you don't do that, you're going to be a slave to your business. Your business will not serve you. You will serve your business, and you will end up working every night and every weekend as people call in sick and say they can't cover their shift. You will fill in for them over and over and over, and then, holy crap, you're 50. And then you fill in for them. Jason, am I not? I mean, if you are not intense about people sticking to their schedule, do you not get stuck with the hell shift every time?
Oh, every time.
Has it ever happened to you?
I have worked the hell shift a couple times because people did not stick to their schedule and I did not hold them accountable, or somebody else didn't hold them accountable, and that's just how it goes.
Thrive Nation, if you are out there today and you have any business questions, never hesitate to email us at info@thrivetimeshow.com. That's info@thrivetimeshow.com. And if you've yet to attend one of our in-person Thrive Time Show workshops, I encourage you to book your tickets online today by going to thrivetimeshow.com. That's thrivetimeshow.com. And now we like to end each and every show with a boom. So now without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom. You have to record your calls or your business will fall off a cliff called mediocrity. You've got to record your calls or your business will fall off a cliff called mediocrity. Now, what's the company I recommend? I recommend Clarity Voice. How do you get a good deal? Go to thrivetimeshow.com/clarity. thrivetimeshow.com/clarity. Tim, you work in the call center. What's your final justification and reason why you think all the business owners out there should record their calls?
Yeah, if you want to make sure you actually have a good call and don't sound like you're having a panic attack while you're talking to a customer, it'd probably be a good idea to record your calls.
Daisy, what's your final encouragement as a call center manager? How impossible would your job be without recording calls? What's your final tip for the listeners out there as to why they should record their calls?
Well, I just look at Tim. He's like my personal testimony. We literally called him the nervous bomb diffuser for the first 6 months he worked with me. And it's like he went from nervous bomb diffuser to Brad Pitt overnight.
And I used to be the fast-talking, confused guy at my first job. And then they played my calls, and they're like, wow, you talk fast, and wow, you're confused. And so we all have some sort of dysfunction that we can't fix, right?
Absolutely.
If we can't hear the calls.
Absolutely.
So if you're out there today, again, go to thrivetimeshow.com/clarity.
You know what they say.
Go to thrivetimeshow.com/clarity.
You know what they say.
Go to thrivetimeshow.com/clarity.
You know what they say.
Quit saying that, because I don't know what they say, but I know that I say go to thrivetimeshow.com/clarity.
You know what they say. See a broad to get that booty yak 'em. Leg her down or smack 'em, yak 'em.
Thanks. That clears it up.
Wow.